I can see there's a reflection. There's always a reflection where the needle is. Let's try that. Some sort of little mark there. A little scratch or something. Okay, so from the low to, yeah, there's just a jump right there of something, which takes it up to just under 1. Otherwise, it's a half. Yeah, it's just that little bump. And they had measured 0.001. So 0.01, 1/100th. Well, that's the maximum I'm getting with whatever that little bump is. I think I'll run this closer again, just to see if I can go past whatever that is. God, can you just somehow settle down? I mean, it doesn't have to be spot on, but I just want to get it to 0 so I can see it. All right, there we go again. Let's see what we get here. Down a bit, up a little bit. Now I haven't got that bump here, so it's something on the surface. I'm going down to like minus 0.3, up to 0.1, 0.2. I'm definitely not getting a whole number here, a whole 100th. Definitely not. So that's just on the outside of that taper. Let's call that what did they say? They've got 100th. I'm calling that a half. Which is this 3A again. So I just had a 004. That was on the inside. And now it's on the, using a taper, I've got 5. So I'm going to call it 04/5. And we'll check the tip here as well. Let's see what we can come up with over here. So I've seen plenty of people do this sort of thing. Okay. Stuff it up, why don't you? So just off the tip there, this is not in the book. 2, 2. So there's my mark. Goes to 2. There's the mark again. It's basically opposite the mark. So that is measured, that's not even here. So this is really measuring the accuracy of this piece, which is not that great. I'll move it up. Now I actually need to lock it. Unlock that. Move it up until it grabs. Okay, like that. Now that's pretty damn good, you'd think. So what I ended up with last night, I think I had wound it out quite a lot further because I had to get it over the other compound. And so now, when it's quite close, well, it's all the way in, that's pretty good. Let's see what happens if we spin this. But it's distinctly like this always. So this is low by a tiny amount. This is slightly low. And the other thing, there's one thing I really wanted to try was to see, okay, what happens if I tighten it? It stays. That's nice. So tightening it, I mean, it doesn't feel like it does anything, and it doesn't. So that's good. Other thing was, what if I loosen it, move it, tighten it, loosen it, move it, tighten it. Still goes back. Move it, tighten it. I think that's good, but it's still low. Yeah, it's always just that little bit low, not much. Probably too little for me to shim is the point. Let's get a bit of that shim stock. So what we're after here is to not have this little shim piece tilting forwards all the time. Okay, we're badly sideways because I haven't adjusted the sideways. Let me just bring that in. It's not hard. I need to undo the one at the back. So we'll have to get that back to approximately right. Yeah. I think this is the perfect amount already. Oops, I've just gone badly the other way. Guess I should have tied this one up. Tightened. A bit too tight there. Okay, that's pretty tight. Those are all pretty tight. God, it's hard. I need stronger glasses for a start. That's better. Okay, that's obviously wrong. So I didn't have it tightened up on the base. So it needs to go more this way. Okay. What do you reckon? I reckon that's pretty good. So I've got rid of nearly all of that vertical issue. I'm trying not to, you know, push the points down onto it too hard. Oh, I didn't have it locked down. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Very slightly down, exactly the same as at the other end, just down by the tiniest amount. Let's check that with this. This has got quite a few little dings in it now. Yeah, same amount. That tiny bit down and a tiny bit to the side, but the side is not a problem. So tiniest bit down. Now, if it had changed from here to here, I could have changed one end of this, but it seems about the same. So let's undo that, wind it back halfway, and we'll check it halfway at 1 inch. Lock it. Basically the same again. It's just that slight tilt that way. Okay. And it's parallel. So the point there was, should I change one side more than the other? No. Should I go up that extra, what is it, 0.05 to 0.075? That seems too much, doesn't it? To use the other Shim stock, the slightly heavier one. Very useful to get some Shim material. As there wasn't any, I couldn't find any anywhere. Then I saw some in a shop, just randomly. Just this little packet. They had it in brass, I think, and steel. And I just bought the steel set, not thinking I'll probably need it for these devices here. You know, something's going to need it. And sure enough, it's proven extremely useful. There we go. Which way was that? Yep, that way. So I'm going to try pulling it up tight. Also try pulling up at the end real tight, just to get it into position. Position is back there because there's a little bit of a dovetail there. So back and down this position. I'm doing that before I set side to side. So I'll loosen it off when I do side to side, but I just want to get it into the right spot. Get it firmed up, you know, take up any slack and squash those bits of metal nicely. Yeah, okay. So we'll do it like this with it all the way in. Let's see how that goes. So it means taking it off and undoing the rear just a bit to the point where I can do the sides. Going to use this piece. Yeah, well, that seems. Let's see if it changes. As I pull that up, it shouldn't in theory, and it hasn't. Let's try it with some of these little bits that I've got spare now. I'll take a fresh piece like that. Yes, very nice. So if anything, this side tightening this side. It should be going. How about I use the big magnifier in my lamp? I've never used that. Let's use it. Oh, that's pretty. Yes, I can see it quite clearly. So, yep. Does it change when I tighten it up? I think it is. It's gone to that side again. Keeps pulling to one side. It all works against. Every part works against every other. That's weird. Yeah, it's sort of seesawing somewhere. Yes, definitely. Depending on which part is tweaked up. It doesn't just go left-right with these. It sort of seesaws. Something tilts. And then it goes in the opposite direction of what you'd think it would go in. Well, this is good that this magnifies. This is very strong. Well, I can see it very well. Can't I? Okay, so let's take it back and wind it forward. We'll stop at the 1 inch mark. Lock it. Very, very slightly to one side, but not really. Let's go out to 2. I'm very happy with how this is working, as you don't want to have to shim something, but I've shimmed 2 things now on this lathe. But each time it's worked out nicely, so I'm quite happy with that. This lever up here, the locking one for the tailstock, they're not the one that locks the whole thing, but one that just locks the slide part. That doesn't add any change. Which is nice. That would have been a pain to deal with. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. See, that to me is bloody good. I'm very happy with that. Yep. So what do we got for this? Let's have a look. So we just had 0.002. I'm just measuring that by needle widths. Well, the same. It goes down from spot on. It's not half, perhaps 0.003. Let's call it 0.003. Got all kinds of, there's the 0, 1, just under 3, 1 minus 1 again, and then up to just under 3 there, which is just about what he said. 0.03, but does that matter? Let's try it. I don't think there's anywhere else we can try. It looks like it's not going to fit between there. I'll try it. This is how I did my brakes. Not quite on, but close enough. There's a. So it's got to be a manufacturing sort of issue. -1, minus almost 2, 3. Yeah, and then there a little bump. Yeah, those don't seem that relevant to me, those particular values. And I'll say the 0.3 is right. It's 8. 0.4 is permissible. For a 20mm bit, they're saying 0.4 is permissible, and it was 0.1, which is nice. And further out, well, we'll have a look at that, but we're not really measuring that. 02, and here 02 and 02. And it's 04 and 08 are permissible. 8. Wow. Not sure about 8. Let's see what we get. Oh, heaps. 3. Just under 3. Right? Okay, but I'm not convinced that that can't be aligned. And so that would be the high, if at all. Not really, it's bloody good. Maybe that would be the high. So let me just try tweaking that on. Well, let me just pull the others up. Hey, well, you see what I did there? So I put it in and I got about 3/100ths. And then I loosened it and just tapped it a little bit into shape. But even just pulling them on very loosely at first, all 3 sides, that made a difference. Now it's basically 1. I'm getting 1. We had nothing. I mean, a needle width. I think I noted 0.002, I think but nothing. So that's fantastic. That is fantastic. And with that lined up onto 0, not quite, but it'll do. Let's go along here. Well, that's dropping. Why is that dropping so much? That's a lot. 4. Oh, well, let's put it down here. But it's perfect. What does that mean? But we can't change that. That's if we have a centered piece here, which is then also centered there. Hang on, the 2 points meet. See, if you move this, if you had stuffed up this adjustment here and moved that over, it would still be nice and round. Putting that in there would make it nice and round, even though it was being spun at an angle or something. And so is it being spun at an angle? It shouldn't be, because we looked at the centers. Right, so maybe as it comes out, it's dropping or going up. There's no adjustment for that. There's no adjustment for that. Let's check the same measurement going that way. Let's see what that does.